welcome to Beyond the Hustle. I'm your host, Kiana Moran.
I'm Tanetta Merritt.
And who do we have on the couch today?
Oh.
You can just tell us your name because then we going to get into
We
it.
for sure gonna get into this one. I can't wait.
Dionne Reeder.
Okay, we got Dionne, Bussy, Reeder. We're going to get into it today.
Yeah.
But at Beyond the Hustle, as you know, we have real talk
Real stories.
and real hustle. Let's get
Okay.
into
All
it.
Get
right.
into it.
Okay.
I can't reach in the air.
All
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Let's relax, though. We're going to talk through this. How was y'all week?
Oh man.
Who going
Last
first?
of the Black History Month for what they say, right? We're gonna have Black History every day as we move forward. Busy but good.
Yeah. Forget the week. Let's talk about the day.
How about it?
What?
Sheesh.
Today again was a day
Yeah.
for me. I mean,
Friend, you be having some days on this
I feel like
couch.
it's a day. That's why I need the couch.
Exactly.
I know that's right.
Listen.
That's good, cousin.
I
That's
like
good.
this couch instead of another couch,
I
right?
know that's right. Right. That's when you want to lay your foot
I'm
down.
telling
You gotta
you.
do all of that.
And they gonna charge me a whole lot
That's
an
right.
hour. This free therapy right here, I love it. I love it. But hey, made it through. Cause what they say, at the end of the day got what?
And
They got the end.
Yeah, that's
what
the
made
truth.
the day so challenging?
First of all,
Start at the 5 a.m. call.
yes. And I love my people in Black History Month. But the restaurants was burglarized today. Just to
And
help.
for the people that don't know, what are the restaurants?
Oh, so the entire Apollo row
Okay.
was burglarized today, where there are several black businesses on that row, including my own Burgers at Apollo and La Carte Seafood. But we pulled through, we got it together, and we're open for business.
That's what we do.
That's
Yeah.
what we do. We
Yeah,
get it
that's what we
done
do.
to the
That's what
finish
we do.
line.
Yeah. So
And you told us you started your day at 5.
5, got that
5
phone
a.m.
call at 5:30. I was like, oh shit! I knew. I just knew it was something because that individual that called me don't normally call me at that time. And so I was like, man, to go over here and deal with that. And I was there from 6 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock this afternoon
Just dealing with it.
dealing with that situation.
And the reason why I'm pressing the question is because you always look good
I was
from
about
head
say, if
to
you didn't tell
toe.
us, we wouldn't have known.
We wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Pressure looks good
And-
on you.
And then
I don't like it.
today you conquered some things. You went through something, but you showed up. You got people that depend on you. And I feel like that's the backside of entrepreneurship that people don't see. They see that Dionne look good and clothes is always ironed. Tanetta is bedazzled out. But they don't see that we be having days too.
The same for you. You had a day.
I did.
Yeah. You had a day. Dionne said she had a day too.
Yeah. I think it's just black women. We have days.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And I just feel like what's in us, it's something special about us. You know, the ability to overcome, to conquer, you know, get through with the smile on the face. We're used to it. And I think that's why we're such envied by so many people. I mean, so many other, you know, races. I'm just, you know, I'm one of those, you know, unapologetically black women
Wow.
that just believe it's something unique about us in our DNA, that we stand tall regardless of what we go through.
I can agree with that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying just because we used to it don't
Yeah,
mean
we don't
I
want to
want
go
to keep
through.
going through
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but the overcoming part is what's
The
important.
overcoming part.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Do y'all ever brace yourself for trauma? And what I mean by that is things could go so good, but because I'm used to going back to what you said, Dionne, just getting through it, right? Even when everything is going good, I find myself bracing myself to like, you know what, it's going too good. I need to get myself together to prepare that something is about to shift.
I don't.
Yeah, I used to, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to, but I truly don't do that anymore. I've now adopted that it's just a moment in time. You know, this is just one moment. It's not the defining moment. It's just one moment. So I'm a strong believer in God. You know, I do believe that, I shared with you guys when I walked in the door. For me, yeah, I'm not going to let fear talk me out of, with faith talk
Wow.
me in.
Wow.
You know, I have a wonderful church that I'm a part of. And my pastor is, I go to Zion Anywhere. Pastor, shout out to Pastor Keith Battle.
Okay.
And, you know, with the tools that he's preparing us for is not just for today, but for forever.
Wow.
So I've just adopted a different, and I just know the enemy is two teams on the field. So I expect the enemy to be the enemy,
To be the
but I
enemy.
expect God to be greater.
Speak.
Yeah, so I just, with all the pain, I just bless God for as you said, coming in here, you just blessed.
Yeah.
So I look at it that way. I used to kind of wait for that, oh God, things are going too good, something bad gonna happen. But that's the enemy.
That's the enemy
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I don't, because I've been experiencing a lot of the trauma. I just, when it's going good, I be like, thank you, God. Continue, keep it coming. Lay it on me heavy. But before we get too far into all of this, let's go back and who is Dionne?
Wow, who's Dionne? Dionne is first a daughter, which makes me who I am. I had two awesome, amazing parents that I grew up in the house with.
Wow.
I'm a sister.
Okay.
I'm committed to my family. I'm a mother.
Wow.
I'm a grandmother. It just makes me smile. That little 12-year-old is, she gets to the point I can't kiss her all over her no more. But that is definitely, I have to remind my daughter it's because of you I have her, because I think she get a little jealous sometimes. I'm definitely a leader, servant leader. I believe in helping my people. And fortunately, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a great friend. I love friendships. I got some dudes that's in my life that will stand up and fight any mountain for me.
Wow.
Equally, some women. I'm funny. I play all the time.
I can see that.
I'm gonna get a good
I'm
Joan
learning
in.
that,
I'm
yeah.
gonna get a good Joan in. You good for a joke? I'm the one in the background cracking. I'm Joaning all the time. I like to smile and have fun. That's Dionne.
That's Dion.
Yeah, that's Dionne.
I'm glad to know Dion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dion got some things going on. I want to first get into this restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. So I started. So you'll hear me call her cousin.
Okay.
I was previously married into her family.
Whoa.
And so often you'll hear cousin. And what I love about him, I'm still a part of the family.
Absolutely.
And me and my ex are still the best of friends. So
Okay.
that's true friendship. So
Touche.
I actually started. I started in the restaurant industry by happenstance. It wasn't something I was really looking at going into. In 2015, at that time, a friend of mine asked me would I be interested in opening up a restaurant with him.
Okay.
And I had been doing the work in the community for such a long time, and I knew that there were no amenities, limited amount of amenities in Southeast. So I'm an uptown girl and
Okay.
started working in Southeast over 25 years ago and fell in love with the community, and I still live there. So I opened up Cheers at the Big Cheer,
Okay.
and as a co-partner of that, and got a bite for it, right? I'm a hospitality type of person. So it wasn't about being in the kitchen. I just wanted the food to taste good. But I liked greeting people and talking to them and, engaging them around the food and the atmosphere. And then unfortunately, what happens, I think, with a lot of us, when you don't own it, you can't control it. So we didn't own the building. And we had beat the landlords in court. They were trying to sell the building underneath us. And so they had to give us a 2-year lease. And when that 2-year lease was up, they was mad. They was like, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, we done with y'all. We ain't selling it. We ain't gonna let y'all stay here.
Oh, what?
So we closed in 2019, and kind of always wanted to open up another spot. Was uncertain about it. And then my nephew and I, who I'm in business with today, Andre. Shout out to my nephew. Who
Is that the same person you was in business with? Okay.
He's a total different brand. Andre was actually the manager at Cheers at the Big Cheer, one of the managers. And this opportunity presented itself to open up again. And what really did it is that we got completely licensed to do something in the water when Pharrell was here. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but we were one of the top 3 selling vendors that whole weekend. And then we were able to, and I didn't want to call it Dionne's. It was been the last thing I'd have thought of, naming a restaurant after myself. Because when it ain't right, they know who you are. But so my nephew Andre, he was like, nah, we gonna name it Dionne's. We named it Dionne's. And then we got an opportunity to go into the fabulous Sycamore and Oak facility, where there's over 20 black businesses that reside there. We all live in Ward 7 or 8. So there are 13 anchor business, and then there's one studio suite that's called Black Bone that have over 20 women-owned products that operate out of there on a regular basis every day. So collectively, you got 33 businesses who are Ward 7 or 8 residents, and then the Sycamore Oak is a temporary facility that will eventually, it's on the St. Elizabeth campus, that eventually, and it's owned by Lorene Jobs, who has Emerson Collective. Lorene Jobs owns Apple. All of us probably got an Apple phone. She went into community development work. And as a result, the community said, we want something here while you guys are figuring out how you're going to develop. And it was the community that said they wanted amenities, which made me really proud. And they had a voting process. And Dionne's won resounding. And here we are. So we were able to operate one of the food stations and the bar. So we have the bar at Sycamore and Oak, and then we have one of the food stations.
Good.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, in doing that, because the way you just made it seem was like, listen, I wake up today, this all just fell in my lap. Was that the case? Because somebody gonna go home and be like, you know what, I could get
Open
out
a
there,
restaurant.
open up Dionne's.
Yes.
But and then you said some unique things too, like all of the businesses are residents of Ward 7.
Yeah, or
and
8.
Ward 8.
It is, the businesses are, well, the location is in Ward 8. And you guys know, being natives, I'm a native Washingtonian, 4th generation. And I grew up where I can walk to 4 grocery stores. And one of the things that always was just really pulled at my heart is in Southeast. It's just the opposite. So I didn't come to Southeast with the restaurant. I started working there. I worked for Mayor Williams. That's how I got to Southeast.
Wow.
I started working for Mayor Williams. He had this program called Neighborhood Services. I was very young, and I was a grade 14. I was 27 years old.
Wow.
And our responsibility was to actually initiate plans to either clean up the neighborhood and keep it safe. And I fortunately married into a family of people from Southeast. So they actually taught me everything. I hired my aunt, who eventually became my aunt, to be my assistant. Found out later she was the candy lady from around the way. Shout out to Amira. As she was called Miss Candy at that, back in her day. And she's a, God-fearing woman and led me into so many spaces. And I worked collectively with her and a team of great D.C. government employees. I honestly can say we worked to shut down Valley Avenue Drug Market. That was an open-air drug market at the time. We created ways to work with those residents. So we built plans in what they called hotspot neighborhoods. And the joke for my family is they will always say, you don't know about no Southeast. What is you doing over here, right? My dad, God rest his soul, I used to laugh. My father was so concerned. I lost my mom in college, but I was a daddy's girl. So he was so concerned about me working in Southeast. So he would bring me lunch every day. I was like, Daddy, my job is for me to go out into the community. You can't bring me lunch and think I got to sit here. You don't know nothing about no Southeast girl. And but I fell in love with Southeast, mainly because black people were there. And I felt that it was one of my responsibilities to actually change the whole dynamic. And to Southeast credit, I'm going to be honest with you, I've never felt safer anywhere in my life.
Wow.
When I moved and bought my first house in Southeast on Brothers Place, the neighbors
That's
wrapped
because
their
you
arms.
know everyone.
Yeah, man, but they wrapped themselves around me when
They
they
say good kid,
yeah,
you know that.
when they ain't see me. You good? Where you been? You was out of town. We watched your car, and I just became a place that I'm home to now. So,
Community
yeah,
is
it
important.
was what I was used to when I grew up. So that's how I got to Southeast. I started working, and I haven't left. So now I'm currently still working. I'm the executive director slash CEO at Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. Shout out to Far
Wow.
Southeast.
Yes.
We are one of the only anchor nonprofits that own our building where
Nice.
Busboys and
Wow.
Poets reside. He's our tenant.
Nice.
We do phenomenal work. I have 55 employees there that's changing lives in Southeast every day. So that's my full time where I lead that organization. Credit to my board. They have given me an opportunity to be able to still have my own interests in entrepreneurship. It doesn't stop me from doing what I do. I have a great team of people that work tirelessly to change lives.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And I like that Busboys and Poet right
yeah,
there. I go
yeah,
in there to work.
yeah. That's our tennis. So if you ever need some other time, come on upstairs. I can get you on me. You get a private office. You have meetings there.
I'm holding you to that. This
Are you
thing is
always?
recorded.
That's right. That's right. Listen, cousin,
And
know.
millions will
'Cause
see
She
it.
knows. She knows.
I didn't know. That's amazing, right? I
Thank you.
didn't know the backstory. I always thought you started off
At
at
the
Far
restaurant. Oh,
Southeast.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, nah.
you've been doing that work for so
Almost
long.
20 years.
I thought that's where it all
No.
started. I didn't know the backstory.
No, I was a 27 working for Mayor Williams, the youngest.
Okay.
So the funny joke was this was a hand-picked selection process because we were appointees. So when I got the job, you got to remember my father was old school. He was 42 when he had me. So he said, what grade? What's your grade? I said, 14. Don't you ever leave that job as long as you live. And so I came home. I'm all excited because all I knew was Ward 1. I mean, I grew up there. At that time, I didn't, my first house I purchased in Ward 5. But at that time, I was in Ward 1. And I said, Daddy, he said, well, what ward did they give you? I said, they going to give me Ward 1. He said, tell me the makeup of the people again. And when I told him, he said, oh, baby, they going to give you Ward 8. I said, I don't know nothing about no Southeast. He said, baby, they going to give you Ward 8. And they did. But it was the best decision that God did for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because you came into the ward or to the community and connected with the people.
I did.
Connected with the people and didn't judge.
Nah.
Right? And so
We all black together.
exactly didn't judge. And it but sometimes you can find yourself
Yes.
like because like my business is in Ward 8. I started out one of my child care centers in Ward 8. But when I had the opportunity to open up one in Ward 4, and I used to call you sometimes and say, cousin, it's so different
Yeah,
up
it's
here.
different up there, yeah.
These
Yeah.
people
They
different.
are different, yeah.
You
yeah,
know?
Yeah.
But what I can say
They
back
love
to
you up
what
there.
you were saying though, even though the people are different, I still get more love in Ward 8.
I know you do. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Interesting enough, that's funny you said that because when I really think about it, right, I wasn't scared. That wasn't a thing. I just wanted to figure it out.
I was
We
scared
scared to
going
Ward
up
4,
there.
right,
You was
right,
scared
right.
to come to
Well,
8. I was
yeah,
scared to go to
yeah,
4.
because it was different for
Yeah.
me, right? But what I realized is people have been so marginalized and disconnected. You know, the anger came from how dare you, right? How dare you have a plethora of things across the river and give us straps east of the river, right? So I became more empathetic to what people was dealing with. So the decision I made is I was going to be honest about what I could do and what I couldn't do.
What you couldn't do.
So that's really how I really kind of branded because people knew. I'll say I'm going to try. And if I can get it done, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
But I was honest about my limitations. I still worked in the government. It was a bureaucracy that I had to be mindful about some of the things I could do and some of the things I couldn't do. But that's all they wanted. People didn't want lies. Like people respected when I came back and said, I can't do that. You know,
Yeah, just
but
being authentic.
just being
being
yourself.
authentic.
You know, so people respected that about me, and that's something I learned at home. You know, my mother and father were hard-working people, and they believed in being honest because that's all you have is your
The
name,
word, yeah.
right? So, you know, I was one of those kids that grew up. I couldn't embarrass Rita's name. You know, I remember one time I went to both So I was the youngest, and I was the sassiest and the one that got in trouble the most. And I remember one day coming home on the bus ride at that time I was at All Saints. And I was riding home, and y'all, the only reason why I wasn't cussing like my friends, because honestly, I just came on my cycle. So I was on the bus like, when is this bus gonna get me home? But all my friends was, the Catholic school girls, they wanted to cuss, they wanted to be in the know. But one of my mother friends was on the bus. I ain't know, that just happened to be the day I ain't show off, right? And so she said to my mother, she was so proud of me. I didn't see her, but I didn't use foul language. But my mother knew her daughter, right? She looked at me and she said, "You ain't feel good, did you?" And I said, and she knew because I come on my cycle. You know how we did. I was young. And she said to me, she said, just remember this. I said, what? She said, when you have to curse every other word, it shows a lack of vocabulary. So I grew up with those kind of principles. Like my mother would just drop tidbits like that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and just drop the mic and walk on out the room. Right? My mom had me when she was 40. So she had already been through the stuff with my older sisters, right?
Did they ever think your parents was your grandparents?
All the time. And I was like, this my mother, this my father. But and then I had, like I said, my nephew who I have the business with, shout out to Andre, better known as Dre, as he liked to say.
Okay. Dre the photographer.
Dre the photographer. Dre is older than me. So I let people know, y'all, that gray beard, he older than me, right?
Is
But
he?
my father had 2 sons prior to marrying my mom. He was married before my mom. So I grew up, my nephews were like my brothers. Because my older brothers were so much older than me, right? And then, my oldest sister, she was 13 when I was born, right? So, so I grew up really like my second cousins were like my first cousins because my cousins were having kids. So my mom was one of those women that would say what she needed to say and walk on. Like that's who she was. So she always dropped those kind of nuggets in me. So I really prided myself on respecting my parents and
And
not
you-
getting out of
That's
line.
gonna stick with me.
Yeah.
When I curse, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah, right.
I- and so listen, I know you speak a lot about your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of accomplishments, but both of them are deceased.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
But what do you think you have done or accomplished that make them make them so proud of you?
So I've always been, Hiana, I've always been a risk taker. Like, and Tanetta tell you, when I jumped out there and ran for office, I ain't had $5. I ain't had $5. I didn't.
talk about that because Kiana didn't know that part of you.
Oh, wow. So
So listen, I need to know how you made mommy and daddy proud, and then I need to know you ran for office.
and I did really well. I ran for, so this is typical Dionne, right? You got to know. As
We
a
gotta
kid,
stop getting Dion's and Dennis's on
Yeah,
this
right,
couch
right,
because y'all
right,
take up
right.
all our time.
Listen, listen. So I have only wanted to have one job in my life, and that was to be the president of the United States. My oldest sister will tell you, this is all as a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be the president of the United States. Like, I ain't know what else is there to do. Like, what you want to be, the president? Like, literally, as a kid.
right.
So my undergraduate degree is in political science. My
Wow.
master's focuses on, it's a master's in divinity, and the focus is on community development. I've always felt that I knew I needed to merge the two together. So, and ain't none of that got nothing to do with restaurants, right? Right. So I literally ran for office. I decided to run for office in 2017,
Okay.
and I ran at large.
That's what
Wow.
they say.
That's
at
the funny thing,
large.
right? I ain't run for the
You
ward
went
seat,
big.
right?
You gotta go
Yeah, I
big.
was like, forget it. I'm going all the way there,
Yeah,
right?
go big or go home.
And I did it. It was an outstanding race. I ran against Alyssa Silverman,
Okay.
who was the incumbent at the time, and I got 50,000 votes.
Wow.
I didn't win. I tell people it was the most successful, unsuccessful thing I've ever done. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. No, I never want to run again. Don't ask. I ain't
I
thinking
was just-
about
that
it.
was my
Nope,
next
sorry.
question.
I will promote all the great people, but I'll never do it again.
Why? Well,
Well, DC's a different place, right? And after, running for office at that level, it hurts. And some pain I ain't gotta go back through. Like, it was a lesson I learned, and I can move on from it. But what it did was, I wasn't her first candidate. She eventually got behind me, but it opened up so many opportunities. Like, Dionne was known in the Dionne circle, but that particular platform opened up opportunities not just citywide, but region-wide.
Nice.
So, I have dear friends that are, you know, our new senator in Maryland, where we are today, Angela Alston Brooks, I was telling you earlier. Met her on the humble, and we became very, very close. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. We're blessed to have her in that seat. Calvin Hawkins, who I'm hoping to become the next Prince George's County executive. Just met good people, Councilmember McDuffie. I mean, just people that got behind me. Mayor Amelia Bowser put everything she had behind me when I ran. And it opened up a platform that I probably wouldn't have gotten. And I believe that's why God did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was supposed to be down there. I would have been losing my mind.
You were supposed to go through that experience.
I needed that experience.
It was
Yeah.
the experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes people look at the light at the end of the tunnel and lose focus of the journey.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Kiana. It was the journey, the process,
Right.
that really made me understand a lot and made me who I am today. So I think they would have been really proud of that.
Go for at large.
Nah, never again. Hey, listen, God bless those wonderful people. Yeah.
But let's speak on risk, because sometimes people are afraid of taking risk.
Yeah.
And although you didn't win at large, you won in many other ways.
Yes.
And if you had to encourage somebody, listen, just do it.
That's-
Don't think about winning. Just think about just doing it. What would you tell the people?
Just what you said. That right there. Just do it.
Just do it.
And I think the other part to that is know that that's what you're supposed to do. And that's the relationship, again, however, whatever you call them, God, Buddha, Allah, whatever, but you're God. Know that it's God-led. And I knew this was God-led. God never said I was going to win. He just said run.
Just
Wow.
run.
And I tell people that, God never said you're going to win. God told me to run. And I did. And that level of obedience is better than sacrifice.
All the time.
Yeah, so I was obedient, and it literally not only opened up doors, but gave me a platform to speak about those issues and speak on behalf of people that a lot of people have forgotten. So if
You
it's
dropping nuggets a day.
yeah, but if it's just that, right? That's enough.
Yeah.
I told my cousin the other day, if I leave here today or tomorrow, God has done all that I asked him to do for me,
Absolutely.
and I'm good with that.
And again, it's going back to the journey. You say if you leave here today or tomorrow,
Yeah.
people might look at the sunset
Yeah,
or the sunrise and the sunset, and between both is always this small line. But that small line carries more weight than the sunrise and the sunset.
it does.
So,
in
and it's just
between.
it's a little dash.
Yeah.
Right? That little small
that
dash
means more than those two
means-
numbers at the end. Yeah.
And people be thinking like that death date, right? Or that birth date carries more weight.
Nah,
but
it's
it's
that
that
dash.
little small
Yeah.
dash
Do in between.
in
That's it.
between. So you got to make it count.
Yeah.
Would you encourage people to take some
Most
risk?
definitely. All the time. All the time. Like I said, you can never let fear talk you out of what faith walked you into.
You need to brand that. Or
Yeah,
I
nah, I
What are your
can't.
t-shirt man?
My pastor already did it. I'm just
Oh, he
repeating what
did?
He branded it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
just
a t-shirt.
I'm
Did you
repeating
bring
Keith
us a gift?
Baxter.
Did you bring us a gift? I need that
Just let me
t-shirt.
tell you what I had for y'all. But when y'all changed the time, I had food.
Oh, you
I had our
food from
signature
Dionne.
crab fries. I did, and our signature wings. And when y'all pushed it back, the kitchen went always out the door. And I said, okay, they'll understand. And I
oh
I
my
couldn't get it.
goodness.
Today
I
was
did.
by Black, and when I tell y'all the community
Oh, man,
showed
shout
up
out to Black
at Mary
folk.
Lou's,
Thank
at Dionne's, at
Dionne's,
Lacage,
thank
at
them.
Burgers at.
Nah, they did.
When I tell y'all,
We
shout
did
out
this
to the
boycott right.
community.
Yeah.
We did this boycott right, and I am grateful for our people that did
I
today.
went in a restaurant today to drop something off and got stuck.
I know you did. That's what happened here.
But I just was wondering, why wasn't nobody at work? I thought you made everybody go back to
They
work.
they boycotted too.
Because I'm thinking, people going to work, nobody coming for
They
lunch.
boycotted too. They
They-
boycotted too.
I went in a
Always wanna back
restaurant.
out.
First, I pulled up. I'm like, why the parking lot so
It's
full?
full.
What's
That's what I
going on?
said.
I went in there. I said, I still had like because it was literally, we opened up at 12. It was like 12:13. I still had my scarf on my head just to drop off so I could prepare for the rest of my day. I said, oh, no, they need some help.
Hey, and I see you working. I already know both of y'all. I seen y'all moving around, so
But
I
people
know it.
don't
That was my
understand
story
the
this
time.
morning. At 5:30, I was like, man, brush my teeth, throw something on the. and I had to stay like that till 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, you look good, girl.
Yeah,
All the
that's the
time.
life of the entrepreneur, man. I'm telling you. It's a different world. I went in there, I called myself holding over an hour to get here with y'all. And before I knew it, my bartender was swamped. And I said, the kitchen backed up. They was like, we got to stop the tickets. There's 20 tickets up here. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
And you jump in and do it because you're
You
blessed
gotta
by
do
it,
it. Yeah.
Look,
I didn't know how to bartend until
me either, girl. Look, I got a cheat sheet. I got a
Yeah,
cheat sheet.
look, I just make sure the measurements is right.
Yes.
But now I'm good at it. Let's tell you, I'm the best boss.
Hey,
You gotta give me a Dion's for be
please,
the
when
local
are y'all gonna be
celeb.
the celebrity
Yes.
bartender?
Oh, can we do it
So
together?
guess what y'all can do?
Let's
Y'all
do it
can do a
together.
couch version over there.
Oh, see the
Oh, nice.
ideas.
No,
you see what
I do
happened?
this thing called cocktails and conversations, and then they transition into the bar.
Wow.
Next month is Women's History Month.
Women's History Month.
Y'all need to figure out what day, when y'all got to transition on a Wednesday for me,
So
and do a little something on a Wednesday.
we can do it.
I would
And
love to
What I
have
wanted to
y'all.
say is, you coming here today was intentional. Ben is like the last day of Black History Month,
Thank you.
and then Women's History Month start
It's
off
tomorrow.
tomorrow. So we wanted that person that sit on this couch to kick off our Women's History Month, and you
I
are
love
not
y'all. Thank y'all.
disappointed
Y'all made
at
my
all.
heart. Y'all just made my heart smile. I mean that. That means
So powerful though, and I want to just go back to, because I know how important or what role your sister
plays a role.
plays in your life. I did not know, because you love your sister so much. I didn't even know you had brothers.
Yes.
Miss Murray, she
do
love all her
Yeah.
siblings the
Yes,
same.
I love
No,
my
I
sister.
do. My big sister,
She
man.
loves her
Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
I didn't even know you had brothers.
So my father was married before he married my mom. He was
Okay.
18 when he first got married, and he had two boys.
Okay.
And they're now deceased, unfortunately. We have a horrible record of diabetes in my family. So I had two brothers, Paul, who actually resided in Canada,
Wow.
and Bobby, who is the father of Andre.
Okay.
And he had two other sons, Chris, my older nephew, who was murdered. You guys may know Chris. And he's a little older than y'all, but they grew up in Southeast.
Okay.
And then Robert Reeder is my other nephew. So he had four boys. I have he's the only nephew I have that's younger than me. And he's named after my dad, Joseph.
Okay.
So Joe is the youngest. So my brother had four boys, him and my sister-in-law, Cheryl. And Andre is as a result of that. So Andre and I have always been like two peas in a pod. So we all grew up together. My mom was real big on encouraging that my brothers be a part of our lives. So they've always been around me. But again, my nephews were more like, my brothers, because they were so close in age. But my brothers, they were both more than 20 years older than me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did have
Yeah,
two
because
brothers.
you said
Yeah.
your parents was in their 40s.
Yeah, they were both. My mom was 40, and my father was 42 when they birthed me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was that baby. So I had cars to drive by the time I turned 16.
Yeah.
'Cause they was tired.
Yeah.
So I just did my chores. I had a car. If somebody called there, I'm taking somebody's car. So yeah. But yeah. So and growing up the youngest, and then my mom died very young. My mom died at 61,
Wow.
and my father eventually remarried. So I have a little sister. My father had a baby at 70.
What?
I have a little sister, Crystal Gwendolyn Reeder. She's 25.
Wow.
Yes. So I was blessed to have grow up in the house with my two sisters, who definitely were great big sisters. So you hear me talk about Jackie. Jackie is is my miracle. My sister has always been the big sister.
Wow.
She had a heart attack last April, stopped breathing for 27 minutes.
27 minutes.
They did not think she was going to live. And you imagine me rushing to the hospital, and they telling you your sister may not make it throughout the night. Now, you got to remember, it's just in my life, it was just me and her. Jackie was fortunate to keep the family house, so we still have our home in Columbia Heights. And she's here today. She has traumatic brain injury. I care for her, but I wouldn't have it no other way. And she probably, we're figuring out what she can do. A funny story, government resources take forever to kick in. And that's why you thank God for being able to have the entrepreneur and the full time. So we're still waiting on Social Security, but she had to go through Social Security determination. So she had to have a series of battery of tests. So we went and had one test done. Jackie is a mathematician,
Wow.
right? So her long-term memory is great. It's just the short term that's damaged. Y'all, them people asked my sister to count backwards from 100 minus 7. By the time she got down in the 40s, I said, Lord, they ain't gonna never give us no money. 'Cause that's how sharp her long-term memory. I said, they're gonna deny us. Oh, I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to get out here and go to Walmart. I don't know.
Sister, I need you to skip some
I need
numbers.
you to get
you
some
to act
numbers.
like you don't.
She was like, 100 minus 93. I said, hey, in my mind, I want to say, stop. Get that. I was like, but that's how great she was at math. I mean, and she actually has her master's in business. The concentration is in accounting. So she's done, and interesting enough, she was a caterer full time. She's been an entrepreneur. Like she was one that like really sparked entrepreneur. She got it from my dad. Like my mom was an entrepreneur, and my whole life. So she had that bone in her. I was the one like, I want that job. I'm gonna secure myself, and But she was that person. So I am blessed. My sister's here. I'm grateful to be able to care for her and make sure she's good. But she definitely has suffered traumatic, brain damage as a result of it. But God is good, man.
God
She talks.
is good.
She cares for herself a lot. We have a caregiver for her, but and
God
my
is
family has just
good.
wrapped around us to make sure she's good. But yeah, my sister is here almost a year today, and they told me she wasn't gonna make it.
And shout out to Jackie.
Yeah,
because
man. She raised a
I've
little
been
sister.
and I can't count from. I was in my head just now, like
Yeah,
93. What come after
Listen,
that?
I was
Back
on my
to
cell phone, like,
back
and she
to
was getting it
7.
right. I said, Jesus, help
So
us, Lord, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to Jackie.
Yeah,
And
God has
being
been
a
good.
caregiver, that's a whole nother ball game that people do not discuss. And you
Yeah.
showing up for your community, showing up for your family, showing up as an entrepreneur and running your restaurant. And not only that, you are a CEO.
Yeah. It's God. Where I go and get some services done, women's services, nails and stuff. The owner one day, she was talking to me, and she said, I just pray. She's an Asian woman. She said, I pray for energy times energy, and I've just incorporated that in my prayer. And I never thought about it, but that thing did something to me. She said, I don't know how I do it. I just pray. When I pray to God, I say, God, give me energy times energy.
Wow.
I never thought of that. And as you saying all of that, I'm like, it's just what I do, but it's energy times energy. I
Energy
believe
times
whatever you
energy.
ask God for, He will not withhold from you.
Yeah.
So that's a part of what I pray for. God, just give me energy times energy.
Energy times energy. And
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody today, and I basically was saying that people so often go to God and say, God, order my steps, right? Align, give me alignment, give me guidance. But I also say people need to also tell God what you want. So
Why not?
alignment and ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go to God and be like, well, God, I was a good. I be intentional with my prayers.
That's your father.
That's my father.
That's right. Why not?
And I talk to him as
Hey,
such.
hey.
Like with even all the businesses or whatever you touch is gold. I pray over it.
That's right.
But I like to encourage people too. Like as much as we ask God for guidance and alignment, we also gotta ask Him for what we want and don't be afraid
That's
to
right.
do so.
That's
Like
right.
I'm not going to God and say, God, I want a car. He'll give you a car, but it might be a 1993
That's
Corolla.
right. That's right. That's right.
I'm
Ask him for
telling
the
God
co-
for what I want, and
There you
not
go.
only what I want. What's the interest rate gonna be?
That's right.
Because
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
know
right.
seriously,
That's
because you
right.
just don't know.
No, I agree.
You just
No, I
don't
agree.
know.
I agree.
So I like what you were saying, like energy times
Yeah,
energy. Because
that's
I'm
what
gonna
I need.
incorporate that.
Yeah.
Because it
That's
be
what I
a
need.
burnout. And then
Take
sometimes I
breaks.
be having to not be arrogant and be like, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And I be like, God, thank you for using me as a vessel
That's
to
right.
be stewardship to other people.
That's right.
Because
That's
I
right.
can't take credit over something that you put me in positions to do.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so
That's right. No, I agree with you. Like 2,000%. And with that, I asked for God to give me grace.
Yeah.
Give me rest and breaks. I just came back from last weekend. I was in Austin, Texas, with friends that I realize now I've had for this year 36 years.
Wow.
I went with some college friends that I met as freshmen,
Nice.
and we reunited. They came over to Dionne's last
Nice.
summer. One of their daughters is going to Morgan.
Wow.
And they was like, we're not going to be this close. One of them is
And,
originally from New York, now lives in Charlotte. Shout out to Dawn. And then LaShawn, who's always lived in Chicago. And they came over, and we made a pact that we would go away this year. So we just left last weekend.
Wow.
We spent the weekend in Austin. And when I tell you it was one of the best times of my life, just doing nothing with some good girlfriends, enjoying each other. We cut up, we reminisce, we got spa treatments, you know, went all over the good old restaurants. And I got to get there. Y'all been to Austin?
I haven't.
So I had never been to this weekend, but it's a great place to visit. Great food. We had a great time. It wasn't stayed at a swanky hotel, showed out like we had some money. And, you know,
'Cause
went
what you doing
shopping.
it for, right?
Yeah, and I do that often though. I don't let nobody. I make sure my sister's good, and I just get away.
Nice.
Once a month, I treat myself away, even if it's a staycation in the region.
Once a month.
So what made you get to this point? Because I remember
I ain't never take no break.
the Dionne that never slept,
Nope. Life.
that never took a break, that always was on a.
Life. Honestly.
When did you get to that point to say, I need to?
So you
make
ladies,
time for
I'll be
myself?
54 this year.
You look good.
So when something happened when I turned 50.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
no, something clicked differently.
Really?
I
They say
started
that.
putting me first. I put me first, and I realized, do you love you? Like it was a conversation I had to have with myself, and having that conversation made me realize I love me more than anybody. And if I don't treat the world like that, they gonna keep walking over you. When you say no, they gonna get mad. I don't care how many times you said yes. And I had to be comfortable. I got to a place that I got comfortable with people not being comfortable.
I wonder why we gotta wait till 50 though. to
Yeah, but and I
realize
went through,
that.
and honestly, I went through talk therapy, right? I started making therapy a routine part of my life. I had an awesome therapist that right before COVID, she moved to Africa, and she still was my therapist. She's in Ghana. And she taught me, the very first lesson she taught me as I was turning 50 was to say no. And when I tell you it was the hardest thing to do, because saying no also means you won't be accepted. So it changed people. People place more expectations on you than you place on yourself. And I was, and this is the truth, I literally got off on what I did. Like if I wasn't doing something for somebody, I wasn't valued.
Yeah.
So it changed my perspective on Dionne. And that's when I made life changes. I separated, I did things to put me first. I stopped worrying about what other people think and stopped worrying about what life looks like if I'm alone. You know, that fear I had to let go of. And when I did that, y'all, I lost weight. I started shopping differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking real cute all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Stay fly.
I've always loved clothes. So that's
Right.
never been a problem. But
Cause you always look nice when I see
thank you.
you.
Yeah,
But
but I
you
took
always
more
like
pride
somebody
in
took
it.
more pride in it
Yeah,
and
took
started
more
looking
pride in it.
differently, right?
Exactly.
And exercising daily,
Yeah.
you know, watching what I eat. I started loving Dionne.
Nice.
You know, and that really is what, for me, pushed my authentic self to the forefront. And stop caring what people think. Like, I ain't perfect. I make mistakes. I hurt people's feelings, but have enough courage and decency to say I was wrong.
Right.
Right? But still making sure I stood 10 toes down on what
what
I
you-
thought
yeah.
was best for me.
Yeah.
And then it was that quiet place. I bought a house, you guys. In December 2021. I actually bought the house on the day that my sister was murdered. My oldest sister was murdered December 4th, 1990. Full circle, I bought my recent house that I'm in today, December 4th, 2021. It was, and I was one of those people, y'all, that spent my money before I had it, right? So, shout out to Lonnie, you know, Dennis Green, one of my dearest and closest family members and friends. We had a business deal together, and he would say to me, "Man, you spend your money before you get it, right?" I'd be like, "Hey, send me my money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going
At
on the
least I
trip.
know it's coming."
Right, I coming." So he said, "You know what I'm gonna do?" And first I was a little offended, like, "Nigga, you better give me my money,
Right.
right?" He said, "Nope. For the next year, I'm gonna bank everything your profit."
Ah.
And at first I was like, "I ain't your girl.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you gonna
yeah.
tell me what to do with my money?
Oh, I ain't your little
Yeah,
sister.
I ain't your
though,
little
like.
sister." But it was the best thing my friend could have ever done for
Yeah.
me.
Wow.
When I decided to buy my house, in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get 20,000. I don't have no money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, spending all my money all the time. And he said, "Hey, I'm about to come over. I'm about to meet you." He said, "What you need for your down payment?" And he showed me
What do you say?
what he had saved for me,
Nice.
Wow.
my own money.
Yeah.
I walked in that daggone I told my real estate agent who was really one of my dearest friends, Shantae. I said, "Oh, I'm ready to buy my house." She said, "You ready now?" And I said, "Hey, let's go looking."
Yeah.
Because my friend cared enough about me,
Yeah.
right? When I wasn't even thinking to
About
protect
you.
me, right? So God has always put people like that in my life.
Yeah.
All the
You
time.
know, all the time. He just does. So my house is my sanctuary. You can't come in my house with no foolishness. Ain't nobody coming to my house arguing. Like if one of my, friends, because y'all know I date, one of my
We gonna
friends
get to
coming
that.
in
It's like-
and they try to start to, I say, "Hey, not in here. Like this
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the peace sanctuary.
This the
You
peace.
can't come
You
in
need
here
to
with
feel
that.
the
Hey,
power
hey,
when
hey,
you
you
come
gotta get
in.
up out of here with that." But I learned to.
Nah, bring out the sage and
Yeah,
all
I did in a minute. Light my candles. You got to get out of God in the name of Jesus. You and them demons getting up out of you and them demons getting up out of here. But it was that level of peace that I found. Like I run to get to my house now.
Nice.
Right, because it ain't nothing about this big, DC house, about that big, but it's my sanctuary,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's
yours,
God
yeah.
has blessed me in such a way, so I transition. I stopped caring what people think. I stopped having to be at every party.
Nice.
Now when I go out, people are like, "Where you been?" And because I have found so much peace and love in me, and focusing on those things that I'm supposed to focus on, and being disciplined around my spending, really being disciplined around what I need to do so that whatever blessings God has for me, I'm ready for them, right? So it was that transition, y'all.
Season of preparation.
Yeah, it was that
Wow.
transition.
This
That's
look
simple.
so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I know, because when I asked, when me and Key was talking, and she was like, "Who gonna have on the couch next?" I said, "I'm gonna call Dionne."
Yeah, you did. You
Right?
did. I was
I
so
said, I'm
excited.
gonna see if because I know Dionne in the past
Be ripping and
Be-
running.
we're very busy. So I was like, I'm gonna see Key. I see what she say. But when you was like, "Yeah, I do it," I was like, "Next Friday." I got you. I was like, "Next Friday."
You sure did. Like, I remember Dionne.
and I just
You was
even
like, "I
feel
got
even
you."
more honored just because I know you, right? And every time I've been in your presence, you've been nothing but kind and nice and
Yeah. Thank you.
just so
Thank you.
welcoming. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I just thought because T and D just put the stamp on it, like he good people, but to know you, to basically unwrap who you really are today, it's just a whole true different
Oh,
perspective.
thank you, Kiana. Thank you. Look, I remember us meeting in Cheers. Remember that's where we met.
Yeah.
You came
yeah.
over. You
did
came
come
over to the
down here.
restaurant.
I did not.
You did not. Where did we first when we sat
At
down about
Burgers at.
Burgers
Burgers
at?
It was
Burgers
Burgers
I know it was
at.
a
Burgers at.
restaurant though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was.
wasn't
It was.
And
It
it
was
was like
Burgers
around
at.
the time when they
It was
first.
your other friend at Cheers. Your other friend that worked with you in the child care industry. The other, she's a PhD doctor,
Cam.
Cam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Cam.
But
It
you,
was
we was
Cam.
at,
Yeah,
we
at
was at
Burgers
Burgers
at when they first
yeah.
opened. How long ago? When did y'all
Man.
open that? Like maybe
That
3,
was
4
at
years.
the end of 21.
One,
So
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
so
sat
that's
down
when
and
I met
talked.
you.
Yeah, I knew we were sitting somewhere like a restaurant. Yeah,
But the energy has always been great,
Thank
and
you.
I'm grateful. But what they say, you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
But I would never have expected all of this because
She know the backstory.
But how is it? I want to go back and talk about the entrepreneurship and the
Foresight.
CEO, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how is it challenging? Is it balanced? Is it? Because I know for me thinking, because I was like, I might need to go get me a full-time job for some stability with income, right? But then when I think about it, I'm like,
You ain't got time.
I don't got time. I don't feel like
God
it.
has blessed y'all so much.
But how is that though?
Well, when you know, I went back, and so you remember I told you guys I ran.
Yeah.
I had no intentions on being in D.C. I had been working with my godmother in North Carolina. That's my other respite. I go down there with
Yeah,
my
yeah,
godmother.
yeah.
That's a very strong spiritual guide for me. I had helped them get a charter for a charter school in High Point. And my plan was to move down there,
We
take
need
my
to have
family
conversation.
yeah, to take my family down there. And they did not follow through. We won a charter and ended up losing it. And I was just coming back to DC to look for a job. I never thought I would go back to far southeast. But I always knew I had my entrepreneurial things because the food industry is one part of what I do. So DTR Enterprises is my parent company.
Okay.
And in addition to the food piece, I do trainings. I'm a licensed trainer and facilitator. That's what I get my joy out of, right? So I have this training that I train charter schools. So I do this training. It's called Neighborhood Narratives, Nothing About Us Without Us. And it talks about the rich history of black economy in the District of Columbia and how the plight of black people moved from upper Northwest in Georgetown and how we were migrated and pushed over to Southeast. Talks about Berry Farm being the first place that African American freed slaves could purchase homes. So I do a whole piece on it, and the whole concept is based on when you come into communities, and you said this earlier about me, you don't come into the community telling the community. You let the community tell you. So the tour starts off with a training around how you do respectful community development, understanding the rich history and the fiber of each community. And the second part of it is a tour where we go out and we drive around and we meet community leaders.
Oh.
So that's the other part of my work. So I have always known when I took this position over that I wanted an opportunity to continue my entrepreneurship work. So going into this job, I wrote in my contract that Mondays is DTR days. I don't go into the office on Mondays.
Okay.
And that I have the flexibility if my company is right sized with the right people, that I have the flexibility to continue my entrepreneurship work. And I have a contract. So I am an employee, but I have an annual contract that's written that speaks to what's important for me.
you. Oh, that's
So
good.
that's I'm blessed to be a place where I have a board that respects that and honor me enough that they allow me to do this work. Because just to be perfectly honest, I couldn't be there if I couldn't do both.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't. So even though my entrepreneurship work has not been able to pay me what my full time does, I will give up the full time and just struggle if I had to leave
Exactly.
the entrepreneurship work. Yeah,
Yeah, because that's yours. That's your
that's
baby.
that's my
what you
baby.
bring-
That's
yeah.
what I'm growing that up.
Yes.
So I'm blessed. Shout out to Far Southeast, my board of directors who believe in me enough, and I have a strong management and my staff at Far Southeast. We've gone through some growing pains, but they some good people, man.
Wow.
And they believe in the work. We got hiccups like everybody else do. We all black together, right?
Yeah.
But they really believe in what they do. They respect me for the utmost. They give me an opportunity to lead and allow my branding of Dionne's to help brand Far Southeast. So they give me the luxury and the flexibility, and I'm honest about it. Like, I don't play. If I need to take off, I use my leave, right? Because you know how we are. If I got a big
Prepare
catering
the
gig, I want
others,
to show up.
PTO.
Yeah, I use my leave, and
Yeah.
I don't lie about it because I want my staff to be honest.
Right. You lead
So
by example.
I lead by example. So I take off when I need to take off. I spent my whole morning working for Far Southeast. And at 4 o'clock, I told them, hey, I'm off the clock because I was planning to be here at 5, right? So, I'm honest about it. I let them know what I'm doing. And I tell my board on a regular basis, hey, Dionne is doing this. We're catering this event. If you see me there, I'm on this clock.
Yeah, yeah.
And I put my leave in, and I have accountability. My deputy, she thinks it's funny, but I tell her, okay, I'm using this leave. She said, why you keep telling me? I said, because I want to be accountable. So I'll take my leave.
Or is
I'm
it that
honest
you don't want
about it.
nobody to see you and say, she said
It's that
she
too. It's that too. Because you know how we, oh, you supposed to be, But I also, I think that's important though.
Yeah, it is.
So that's how I manage it.
Honestly.
I allow myself so they know my schedule. And you guys know, when you work these kind of jobs, sometimes you come in the office at 8, 9, and you don't leave until 9 or 10, right? So they don't count my hours; they count my productivity, and I
Yeah.
respect them for that.
How is it being a woman in such a dominant um, profession, right? And you being a
Oh my
strong-headed
goodness, I get beat up.
woman, though, like, how do you navigate that, or how do you stay true to yourself in those when you come across those situations that may be uncomfortable, right? But how do you still stay strong?
It's even harder for me because I'm a lesbian woman. It is. So, I get thrown into the lion's den more often than not. I've been told, even recently, you disrespectful, but I'm saying the same things you said to me because it's okay for you to say it as a man, but if I say it as a woman, I'm disrespecting you. And it kind of tickles me. I'm witty, so I'm quick with it. So sometimes I got to tell my mouth to not say what I could say because I can really be humiliating. And I have learned. I had a great daddy, right? And I respect men. So I have learned over the years to keep my tongue inside my mouth, right? Just Dionne, every thought that enters your brain cannot exit your mouth, right? But I'm also the kind of woman that believes you get more bees with honey than you do with
Yeah.
vinegar, right? And I don't forget my femininity, but I stand firm on what I believe and I don't waver. So it has been difficult, even recently, like teary-eyed difficult, like when I find myself in spaces, because more often than not, who disappoint me the most are men, and I ain't dating none of them. So it's hard to be in the room in spaces with men when you are a woman leader,
Yeah.
and you know people want to tell you how you should act, and what you're saying, the other person is saying, and because you're a man, you sound foolish. So I have learned to really honestly say what I mean and stand firm by it. And it requires me to do more homework. I've learned more about a lot of stuff than I ever want to know in spaces so that I'm able to articulate my point and have the backup and the receipts to match it. So that's all I can do. I just, I stand there, but it doesn't change. It's the same thing we all go through. I mean, we all in that space,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, because me and Kiana talk about it a lot too. And I was like, especially in the restaurant
Oh my
business, right?
goodness.
And for us to be women and leading some of the most popular
Yeah, yeah,
restaurants
yeah.
right now and at the time, right? And for what I've known a lot in the city is that most of the restaurants, and especially the entertainment part of it, or the things that we're doing at our spaces, were always led by men, right? And so we talk about it often how challenging it could be for us to be women that's leading this like this, and how we have to we're so many different personalities. And so, like you said, don't let everything come out, what you think come out your mouth. What I'm trying to work on is my facial expressions
Yeah, you gotta have that poker face.
because
You gotta have that poker face.
because
You
Serious.
like, are you serious?
this
That's what you want to
face
say.
this
Yeah.
face be giving what,
Yeah.
so
And we've got to learn how to mask that. It is
but
that mask.
why though?
I know, but because it's a society that we live in, and I think you know, I learned a couple of weeks ago. Stop asking why. Right? We'll never get there.
Yeah.
Right? We can't focus on the why. Our focus has to be on the end game. You and I spent the evening together, cutting up and having a ball. One of my best nights in this
Good time.
lifetime. But I learned so much about you in that space, right? I
Okay, this
did.
is like the fourth time you offered this night, and when you get to the couch, it's like we need to know about the night.
We
You
had. It was a
Kiana wasn't
happenstance.
there?
Kiana wasn't there.
Oh, you must have ducked out.
Yeah,
You
you
must
were there earlier.
yeah, you
and you
were.
cause
So y'all
Sonata
gonna
told
give
me you
me
had
and
just
the people the gossip
yeah, yeah.
that we
No, no,
wait.
no, no,
No,
you
you
were
know what it
there.
was? We had never been in each other's space, just us.
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all had a
And
ball.
no, so I ended up seeing a side of cousin here. I had a great time, but I saw her in her boss perspective. She was running the show, and ain't nobody know she was running the show. But I'm so nosy. I said, "Oh, you running the show, right? You running the show, right?" Had her laptop up, doing things, handling business, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute." And then but I mentioned that night because you know how to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
she do a
You
good job.
you
at
do a
it.
good
Thank
job at it, right?
Good job.
And it really is how we operate in our authenticity, right? It's how you are authentic, right? Because I wouldn't have never known what I know now and respect to the level I respect if I didn't see how you moved. I respect the move, right?
He's saying she the littlest thing but a firecracker.
Hey, listen,
But
so
that
why you?
second move
Yeah,
really took you
hey,
out.
that's what made me realize you running the show. You running the show. So I think we all have that level. That's our superpower,
Wow.
right? That's your superpower. So you just got to work on the face, but you know how to
I
move,
have
baby.
to
That's
work on
that
the
straight.
face. The face
That
is.
Washington Highlands. You got that thing down, baby. You know how to move.
Gotta work on the
Yeah, but no,
face.
but it's gonna come with time too. I think like I said, I do believe if we grow right and we age right, we should have different level of experiences.
Absolutely.
So when y'all was coming along, I was already on the playground, right? So I should be able to be at a different space today to say, just watch how your face looks. Sometimes my staff know when I say excuse me, that means the next thing's come out of there is about to be fire.
You apologize in advance.
Yeah, I said, wait, excuse me? Like when I say that excuse me, that means fire is about to
Oh,
come
okay.
next. So
Do
they
your
know.
staff ever not challenge you but put you in a
What?
space of like, oh,
Every single day. Listen, every day. But that's who we are, and I expect that. I don't ever want them to stop challenging me because it keeps me on my
Keep
P's
you
and
going.
Q's.
Yeah.
It keeps me sharp, man, because if they don't challenge me, what tickles them is how much I know about their work.
So what would you tell someone that have that full-time job and want to get into entrepreneurship but cannot find that balance or that time?
I'm still searching for it. I'm gonna be
Wow.
honest with you, right? I like I said, I'm blessed where I am because I performed. I think I think I shared this with you guys earlier before we started the set. My nephew Andre and I was my business partner. I had to stop calling my nephew. My business partner and I had the privilege of having a conversation with the president of Silver Diner, and he said to us, "Y'all got to figure out how to leave those jobs, come into this spot." And for a white man who have a different level of privilege, it's easy to say, right? You can go inside Chase off of whatever you got and tell them to give you what you need. I can't do that, and I've been working with Chase for forever.
Not too much on
Right.
Dionne.
Okay.
I love Chase.
I love
Yeah.
Chase too, and
No, I'm
shout out
joking,
to
I'm
Christina
joking.
Sakar because
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
an
yeah.
awesome business
Yes, she
banker.
is.
But I still don't have the portfolio to
yeah.
get the things that,
That you want or need.
my white counterparts can,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So him telling me that, it stayed with me, and this was a meeting we had 2 weeks ago. I had the flu and was on a call, and then he was like, "Can you call her?" And I'm on my sick bed. Andre got me on speaker because I was supposed to be in person, listening to him chew me out as I'm on Tamiflu, right? But the things that he said made all the sense in the world, but it still has to be in my timing. And so what I would tell a person who's looking at coming out of a full-time job with benefits, who also is an entrepreneur, to make sure it's the right timing. Timing
time.
dictates everything, and it ain't your time. So while I want to leave Far Southeast, I can't leave yet, and not just because of the financial stability, but because my work isn't
work.
done.
Your work is not
Right. And
done.
I don't want to ever, and I've made that mistake before. I've left too soon. I've done things that I moved too soon because it wasn't God's plan, it was my own. So I am so dead straight today in my life on being disciplined around what God says for me. And he ain't said, and I ain't overworked.
You feel good
I
about
feel
it.
good about
Yeah.
myself, and I feel good about the people around me. So
Mm-hmm.
I know eventually I am, but when God says so, it'll be an easy
An
transition.
easy try. I don't know, cause God told me not to go back to work, and it wasn't as easy, but it was some crazy faith. Or going back to what you said earlier about just taking a risk.
Yeah.
But trust me, it was like some crazy faith, like
Yeah.
crazy. When I tell you crazy faith, so I sometimes people be like, "Oh, you can't be an entrepreneur and have a full time job. If you can do it, you can do it. Do it, right?"
Some people can't.
And then when God said, "You know what? That's enough. You gonna have to hang this up. Then hang it up." But I remember this day like yesterday. I called one of the. I was working for Department of Juvenile Services. I was on the unit, and God, like I was like in a deep fast. I was attending Community of Hope,
Okay.
Reverend Tony Lee Church,
Yeah.
and I was in a deep
Shout
fast.
out to Reverend
I
Tony
love
Lee.
them
Yeah,
because
good man.
that church taught me how to pray.
That's
That
right.
church taught me how to dream big,
Mhm.
like ask, like what I
Good.
said
Good
earlier,
man. Good
as
man.
far as. Cause I didn't know, right? Like when I was saying earlier, well, like, so you gotta ask God what you want. Those teachers came from Community of Hope back in 2010, 2011,
Right.
2000, teaching me how to. And then when stuff was happening, I'm fasting, I'm praying, and there's stuff happening. But when I was on the unit, I worked overnight, and God was like, "Kiana, you ain't coming back." I'm like, "God, what you talking about?" And I didn't. That next night, I was due to go to work. I couldn't move off the bed.
Wow.
I couldn't. And it scares me to this day because I couldn't move. Although I had some challenges throughout my journey of entrepreneurship, I don't regret it for the world. But it comes some pain and some
Most
sacrifices.
Telling you.
And I
Anything
often
worth
say,
having
and I
is.
keep saying this because nobody even knew. Like, I had to choose if I wanted the lights on at my child care center or at my apartment.
Amen. I know
I
that
didn't
feeling.
understand. Like my credit was horrible. The repo
Mhm.
people looking for my car got a 22% interest
I
rate,
know.
and
Yep.
here we are today. I'm telling them, listen, I need that 2.9, or I'm
How
walking out.
about it? How about it? You in control.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
the
it comes with
blessing.
true sacrifice and true
Yeah.
determination.
Yeah.
I update my resume every week.
Yeah.
Look, sometimes you be like, cause I be like,
Just
I'm
in case.
smart.
Just in
But no,
case.
let me tell y'all a fun fact though. A
Let me
fun
just
fact
see.
in entrepreneurship, though, a fun fact, I was still applying for jobs and going to interviews just to see if I still got it. Because
Amen.
I fully didn't believe that this thing was going
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have some crazy faith
No,
because
really.
one thing about the corporate America or having that job, what you said earlier, is that stability.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
And you lose it all.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when
You
them
gotta
two
get your
weeks
own
was
insurance
coming,
plan. You gotta do all of that.
yeah, when them
Telling
you.
2
Yeah.
weeks was coming and never was hitting my
Yeah.
account, I'm looking at them like negative
Hey, listen, I know those days.
Yes.
cars and
Yeah,
stuff. I'm
yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah.
But
But
I
it's
could
that
laugh
faith.
now. But
Yeah,
going through it,
yeah,
baby, I
And we
would
still go through it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, we still go
yeah.
through
No,
it.
shout
You
out to
still
y'all too.
Sometimes.
go
Y'all.
through it.
I've said a lot about me, but shout out to y'all for even this. Providing a space that business owners in the DMV can come out and talk about the hustle. You
It's
know,
beyond it.
yeah, talk about, and that's what it is, and talk about and give each other an opportunity to drop those specific jewels and nuggets, as you said. And you don't know the small things that encourage others to
Other
take that
people
leap of faith.
just to
So,
breathe.
I mean, looking at both of y'all, child care centers, restaurants, all of the podcasts, all of the other things, but it's that faith that you have that supersedes the doubt.
Absolutely.
So I think you all just said it. Like, it's, you got to get to the place where, quite frankly, it is that, and it's that
Yeah.
unction that you got to have, that without a shadow of a doubt, I'm gonna make it, and I ain't gonna close this door. And every 2 weeks, everybody gonna get paid. I remember you guys, and this is no
Let's
lie.
not talk about what I used to have to do for
No,
pay.
I have paid payroll at Far Southeast. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a nonprofit that I ain't started. That ain't, it ain't like, how you start your, that ain't
yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
But, and I believe God from we had days that I was borrowing from friends to make payroll at my full time, right? And literally going to my board like, hey, I gotta borrow from my friend
Yeah.
to pay my staff
Staff,
here.
right.
And I remember the last time that happened, and God said it'll never happen again. It'll never be
And it
2
never
weeks.
happened, I
And when I tell
guarantee
you,
you.
when God will send people, and He sent me some people that stay in that organization up, I don't even, when I tell you I don't even worry about it, there were
Nice.
times that I literally took 20, 30, 40 out of my own savings, borrowed against my own 401 to pay staff. Because
For a
I just
nonprofit
believe
that you
God
didn't
that
even
I ain't
start.
starved, but I believe God if He did not put me there,
Yeah.
not only would those individuals not be paid, but more importantly, how many people in Southeast wouldn't be helped?
Yeah, the work wouldn't be getting done. Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
I think it's just
And
it's
people
just
be so wrapped up into like the job, right?
yeah.
Instead of looking at the bigger picture, like people like I don't want to do extra because they don't pay me enough or they don't do this. But to take control over, like God bless you, you know what I mean? You gotta be
Yeah.
trustworthy of what God puts you in
That's
front of
right.
and give it your all.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 35.
Look at God.
Right.
And listen, I'm the first. Like I have the weight of my family or
Oh,
this
but
person, that
just the
person.
fact that you
But
took that risk, man.
Yes.
Stop right there. Like sometimes we roll over that, and that's
Yeah.
another thing I do, and I'm gonna say that to you as a 53-year-old woman. Stop like rushing past what you did.
Yes.
I did.
Like
At that age,
35.
yeah.
I
When I
do.
first met Kim and she told me her age, I was like, you shitting me. Like, I wish
Yeah.
I
But you
had
too, cousin.
But
Yeah,
no,
she
but
like
not
that.
at 35.
No, but listen.
She's my 30.
Listen.
She's my 30. I call her
She's
and Lonnie my
35
30
though.
godparent. But what gave me
Listen.
the courage is I was doing a real estate deal a few years ago, like some years ago, and a guy that was attorney at the deal, he said, and when he told me this, y'all, like when I tell you feet to the ground on a pedal, he said, "You so young, even if you mess up, you got enough time to do it again."
Ah.
And when he told me that,
Because many of us don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
he,
I'm
and when he
tired.
told me that, I was
This
like, I
might get
was
right. This might be right this time.
listen. When he told me that, I was like, you know
Right.
what? I'm going for it. I can't be
Nah,
stopped.
Key, that's it.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
like,
it,
you know
man.
what?
Bless God for that.
Yeah.
I thank God.
No,
And
you
I'm
are-
telling you guys,
are-
like, all of this really started that just even, I put God first. Some people got to
Yeah,
touch the
that's the
stove to know it's
priority.
hot or look at it to know it's hot. And that's why I say this so often. Just dream.
Yeah.
Because we be our worst critics. Like, we can't do this. But one thing, and I know I'm saying a lot of references on Reverend Tony Lee, he was
But
like,
that's
you
important.
take the first step and it's somebody on the other side. And when I met Tanetta, because I call kids our people too, right? Just my crazy faith. And they introduced me to her. They said, call Tanetta Murray. So again, she was my person on the other side.
Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the relationships and the connections because it's a journey.
But
It
as we go into this Women's History Month, I just ask you both just to take a minute. I started doing spending more quality time in my devotion. But take a minute just to pat yourself on the back. Because it's not just about what you've achieved. Look how many people you've hired that can sustain their families as a result of your sacrifice and your obedience. Like we gotta start, I have several different friendships that I'm around, but I got one network of women that, man, everybody's bad. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing something. And that encourages you to even go harder. I was laughing with one of my friends earlier. When I met her, she was in one position. 5 years later, she like running a whole new department.
Wow.
And I'm laughing because we were talking about salary. I said, well, but Lord Jesus, you're making more than me. I'm the CEO and you make it. But just that level of faith and that level of tenacity. Like y'all don't run past it. Celebrate. We got to get in the habit of
Celebrating.
especially in the climate that we're in today, because the enemy would try to strip that away
Steal,
from
kill, and
us. Yeah,
destroy.
so I know we on this couch talking about me and things that I've done, but the fact that you guys are trailblazers in that child care space, And what better position to be than to be the person that got to care for somebody's baby when they have to go and work,
And go to
right?
work.
When they
Yeah.
have to do the things they need to do to take care of their families and the protection and the trust. Because y'all got a heck of a responsibility.
Entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Because it's like you don't want entrepreneurship is crazy and it's challenging because again you say so many people depend on
Most
you.
definitely. I am very big on giving back to my ministry.
Yeah, you have to.
You know, I believe my 90% is blessed because of the 10% I give.
Yeah.
But I don't just give of my money, I give of my time.
Your time.
You know, my talent. You know, God has blessed me to be able to. So, you know, I think about, I was fortunate to go inside of a meeting. I was running late. But when I walked in the door, people said, your staff just said something about your name. And the young man who helped me lose this weight, he trains me, good young man. And they had asked him to mention elder or a person he looks up to who opened doors for others. Well, I know he would have said me of all the people that, and they said, it just said your name, you know, and I laughed. You know, he's a returning citizen, but I met him because he trained me. He was starting to exercise. A friend of mine, she was on Instagram, and before I knew she was smaller than me, I said, wait a minute, let me get that, look at that. And started training me. But this brother, and I ended up hiring him. He's now the supervisor at my full time.
Nice.
Wow.
But my point was, you don't know the impact y'all having on other people. Like, so kudos to y'all for not just hiring. I laugh at Tanetta's staff. I see them out. A couple of her staff people, man,
She
they
is
living
the
the life,
goat,
buying
though.
houses.
Listen, Tanetta-
buying houses. Like, no,
Tanetta is
y'all,
the
they
goat.
setting their family up as a result of what you all have
Yeah,
allowed them
yeah.
to do. You know, and we can't take that for granted. Like, y'all, we can't, you know, we roll over. Black women roll over when we do so much. We forget the impact that we have and the generational legacy that you're helping other people to build. So, you know, if I could offer any advice to you all, take a moment to tell yourself, thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me,
all the
allowing
time.
me to
Oh
be
my
a
God.
vessel
Yes.
to help not just what you do for me, but what you allow me to do for others.
All
Because, you
the
know, there's a lot of
time.
people that's selfish.
Who was that celebrity that said, I want to thank me? Who
That-
was that got that? Was it Snoop that got that
Oh,
star?
yeah,
Or,
no, for real.
in Cat on the
I
Walk
can't.
of
I
Fame?
don't
He was
remember,
like, I
but
want to thank me.
Yeah, but we instantly. But that's the truth, because you don't always have to be obedient.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many times that I'm like, when I'm at Dionne's, like thinking about payroll, you know, and I'm like, okay, I can't take my savings out again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then I have a day like today that I got to get behind it because it's so busy.
Right.
And we grateful.
We grateful.
But in that restaurant space, people, this is when I tell you, it's her, right? Because when they open up burgers at a pot, I was like, I used to have a dream to open up a restaurant, do this, do that, or a lounge or something. I was like, but I'm not that detailed. I'm not going to be able to count every napkin, every straw. And she was like, no, it's fine. It's not that deep. But then I got into it. No, you got to count every napkin. You got to count every straw. So when I even be going out, I be like, why you giving me all these napkins? Go take some.
It's hard to
You
turn
look at
off.
it, but no, my feet or back have not been the same since I opened.
Hey,
But listen, your friends will make you believe. You know, look
Yeah.
how you said, make you believe
Yeah,
in yourself
yeah.
and make you jump out there
It's
because
supposed to.
Yeah.
she.
Yeah. That
It
that
was
keep us
17 other
aiming.
people
Yeah.
that wanted Murray Lou's, and I went in the 7-Eleven parking lot beside it, and I called her. I said, T, we was talking about it, but the last thing said, I said, T, if God have it for me,
It's mine.
it's mine.
That's right.
And I was like, it was 17 other people, and she reassured me too.
That it was yours.
Yeah, and then she also was like, let him go to the burger spot so he know you know
you
what
know
you're
business.
doing,
That's
and you
right.
have
That's
your
right.
mentors.
Yeah.
And he went to that burger spot, and I don't know if it was the Apollo or what that he had, but it sealed the deal. It wasn't 24 hours before
That's a
he
blessing.
reached back out to me. So having the right people,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes people be afraid to make new friends.
And make sure the right people in your circle.
Yeah, it's
You know,
important.
and it's okay. You know, I heard this guy say, you know, friendships are like a tree. You know, you have some people that are leaves. You know, when the season changes, they fall off. You have some people that are branches. They stick with you for a little while, but they break. but you want the kind of friends that are like the
The
roots.
roots.
Like the roots.
Absolutely.
I
You
need
know.
you to speak
I'm
that
gonna
at
think
this
it-
empowerment
Yeah,
brunch
so
on
you
the
know,
29th.
you gotta
Yes.
thank God for those root
Yeah,
friends,
the
and you
roots.
thank Him for the branches and the leaves because they come to make
They
you
play a part.
stronger,
Absolutely.
right? They have a role too. So, you know, I know we probably have surpassed. God knows.
Our
We did. We
time.
knew this
Yeah,
time. We knew this
yeah.
interview was gonna go long,
But you know what? We
have
gotta
to get
stop
into
having
this.
people that we love so much
Nah,
on this
listen,
couch
y'all
because
just got
when
next.
we
Y'all
go-
got to come over to
We're
Dion's.
gonna bring it.
Oh
to
yeah,
Yeah, y'all
I'm
gotta do it
excited.
there.
Yeah.
Y'all
And
gotta.
then after we
We
get
gotta
the
do it in
bar-
March, y'all. And then
Yeah.
y'all
In
after
March.
y'all talk, have your guests, and y'all gotta get behind that bar and mix some
Let's
drinks.
do
And
it.
we
Let's
not
do
just
it.
gonna make
Put
pour
a
glasses
date
of
on
champagne. You gonna make some
No,
drinks.
we
All
bartenders.
know
right,
how to
all
do-
right.
We
Just listen.
bartenders.
She come over to Dion, cousin. I want now you gotta make sure you have this champagne in here. I said it's
We
50,000
gonna have some
people
fun.
out there. She come the night where Ray S's is. I'm telling people, y'all please go get my cousin the kind of because she don't want nothing else in here. She don't want that $100 bottle. She want this right here, and she gonna get it.
Oh my
So
God.
nah, I would love for y'all to come over
I would
Yeah.
and do
love
a
to
cocktails
come.
and conversations
Oh,
with us.
definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
all right.
Yeah,
We
we
planning
made
it in March.
Yes.
Put the date on it.
All right, I'm a
Especially
seal it.
March is such a big month.
She
Starting
turning 50?
tomorrow, you know I'm doing my 50 days to
Oh,
50.
I'm gonna be there.
Okay,
I gotta
so
go get me some
tomorrow,
cute tennis shoes.
March
I know we
1st.
can make that
Yeah,
tennis shoe. Go get
yeah,
some tennis
'cause-
shoes.
yeah, I got
I
find me a
can get some
time. I got.
inspiration from
Hey,
y'all.
Hey,
Y'all
listen,
are some fly
listen.
people.
Hey, listen. I'm gonna have my killing with my shoes. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come live real plain, clean, kick them shoes
I
on.
am so excited.
I'm
and
so
looking
excited for
forward
you.
To
It's
it
March
to,
the.
to March the 22nd.
Okay,
The
I'm putting it
tickets
on the
out on
calendar.
Tomorrow,
Eventbrite.
March 1st, we
Tickets
you
go
know,
live.
We tickets already live,
You
but I'm
ain't tell
saying
me that.
March 1st. I'm outside.
I love it. Look, I'm coming too. One of those days, because I love when you outside. I love
Oh,
when
she
outside
have
with
a
you.
time.
Hey,
and
listen,
then every time
Keith.
she goes somewhere,
Hey,
people
I'm
be
hang-
like,
I'm hanging
I
with
ain't know
cousin.
she act like that because she's always the
Listen,
bodyguard.
she's definitely that girl.
She's
Yes.
like that.
And she don't play. She don't play in the little pond. She don't play with the little pond. Trust and believe.
Nah, she's like
I'm
that. And you
outside.
Hey, I'm with you.
And
Don't
I'm
forget to
gonna
hit
be
me up,
calling you,
cousin.
for sure.
Yeah, let me know.
I'm gonna let you know. We
We
do
do
this
play
thing.
games.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
alright.
know
Just
we
gotta
out of
say
time,
one
but we gotta do
disclaimer
it.
before we get to this
Couple
game,
of questions.
though.
for this
Okay, I'm
game.
ready.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Oh, nah, this has
That's
been
the
great.
deep part of the conversation because we about to do a transition. We
All
talked
right,
about
let's go.
shifts and transitions.
Okay.
We talked about shifts and we talked about transitions.
Okay.
But you are powerful.
Thank you, Keith.
And
Thank you.
to kick off Women's History Month,
Thank you.
just if you can, just tell the people a phrase or a slogan that you live by.
Oh, man.
Just so we could in this part of the segment,
Okay,
because we're gonna go
okay.
to about 3 to 5 minutes
Oh,
of some fun.
man.
Just
Oh,
something
man.
that you know that motivates you.
Oh man. I guess for me. I gotta look right here. Okay. Okay. All right. I got it. Oh man, slogan.
Something that you live by that motivates you or affirms you.
Lead the people with something.
Oh,
D.
okay.
She laughing with so much.
A lot.
So honestly, I live each day loving harder and trying. I love hard. I really do. My goal each and every day is to please God, but I love really hard, and I'm never gonna stop loving. I'm intentional about loving Black people. I'm intentional about being a vessel. I'm intentional about whatever God has me to do that day, whatever impact I make on anybody. Let that day be better.
Yeah.
That's how I live.
Speak.
Yeah, my goal each day is to impact people in such a way that their day is better.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's my word for this year too, though. Intentional.
Yeah, I have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be. I do.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably how I wake up and move around each and every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely my word for this year.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So,
So what's the
So
game?
we do a this or that game.
Oh, my goodness.
And as a disclaimer, we respect anything, but the first question that we always ask
Okay.
is, what is your relationship status? Are you dating? Are you single? Are you married?
So I am legally separated.
Okay.
My
Uh-oh.
ex is
So the only thing about being legally separated, right, is because I was legally separated for some time, but then I also was still legally married.
Yeah, you are. You are. So full disclosure, I grew up. Stephanie and I grew up together. When we met, she was 24, I was 27, and we didn't grow apart. We grew differently. And we made the best decision for each other. She has her own home. I have my own home. She prays for me. She cares about me, vice versa. As a result of her, I have a wonderful 33-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old granddaughter, and that's my family.
Wow. So just this or that. Love, money. I'm sorry, respect, money, or power.
So what am I saying?
Either or. Respect, money, or power.
Oh, man.
This or that.
This is respect.
Not no order. Just
Just
this
whichever
or that.
one. This
So,
or that.
so
What do
say
you choose?
this is the one I prefer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just say it.
Respect.
Respect. Okay.
Yeah, that's the this. I have to have respect.
Respect. Okay.
Yeah, I have to have respect. I ain't tripping about. I'm an uptown girl. I'm gonna get money.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get money. I ain't.
I say with respect come the money anyway.
Yeah. Power. That depends on where you are. But money. I don't worry. I'm not trying to be funny. I grew up in an atmosphere that money come to me.
Money come to you.
Yeah,
That
I
should
know
be
how to
the
get
attitude.
money. I don't trip about. I tell anybody, money is fluid. Yeah, money's fluid.
Easy come,
Yeah,
easy go.
yeah. Power that exists because of who you are. Like I can be broke and have power.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. John F. Kennedy died with 67 cents in his pocket. And had more power than anybody in the world.
Anybody in the world.
Yeah, so power comes. Like I walk in my power.
Yeah.
Speak.
When I walk in spaces, people know that's Dionne.
That's
Absolutely.
Dionne.
Yeah, so the
Absolutely.
respect is what's important to me out of those three.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had a long debate on this question on our last show. Love or loyalty?
Oh man. Woo. That's hard. Cause it's with. I think with love comes loyalty. If you love me, you're gonna be loyal to me, right? I had a falling out with a man that like right here, but what surpassed the loyalty was the love, and that's my man, that's my guy. We had a disagreement in business, and I felt he wasn't loyal to me, but the love superseded that, So when I saw him, I ain't talked to him. I was hurt. When I saw him, the love is what made me embrace him, and he wouldn't let me go. Right. So love for me, is important. That supersedes that. Loyalty's gonna come with that.
Young or old?
Yeah, I'm one of those. Energy level is good. So sorry.
Why is that though? As you get
Hey, I think because I work out so much. Honestly, I move a lot, So I can't have no couch surfer.
Why is that though? As you
Yeah,
get older? 'Cause
you
I
like,
got
yeah, I got me a
little.
little,
No, she
yeah.
got a lot of
And I take maca
energy.
powder, 3 pills a day.
I be wanting to take a nap.
Hey, hey, give me 15 minutes, I'm good to go. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say young, because I am mindful. I have a 33-year-old,
Right.
I have
Not younger than your daughter.
Not young. Oh no, I don't even go before 40. I can't go.
Okay.
I can't go
Oh,
younger than
that's
40.
still a good age.
Yeah, I can't go. If it's funny because I went on a date with somebody that was 35, and I kept saying, "I'm your mother's age." She kept saying to me, she said, "My mother 57." I said again, "If your mother's in the 50, why are you liking me? What is wrong with this picture?" I literally stopped dating her because I couldn't get past it. She was 2 years older than my daughter.
Oh my God.
But she had her head on her shoulder more than women my age. But literally, I was like, no. And leave me alone. Stop calling my phone. Stop it. And you all sexy and stuff. Stop that. You being bad. Don't you call me no more. I mean it. Yeah, so yeah. Nah, I can't go too young. Yeah, I can't.
Wow.
I can't.
You got another one?
Yes.
Yeah, I be saying, do you know what New Edition is? If you don't know, can you sing Candy Girl? You can't sing Candy Girl. You too young for me. I'm teasing. Yeah.
Are you a planner or you would want the date to be planned?
Both. I'm
This
both.
or that?
I am.
What do you
I'm
prefer?
by
What do you
nature a
prefer?
leader,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So uh, I like to know what's happening, and I'm romantic. I'm very romantic, so I like to try to do the things that make it right. Um, but uh, I don't have as much time as I used to, so I'll yield.
Mm.
Yeah, I yield.
I'm learning to relax because, like my birthday party, um, they're planning it for me,
Oh,
She going
and
crazy.
I am
yeah, I was all
having
in my
a
50th.
hard
Hey, I was all in my 50th.
time.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
couldn't let it go.
but can I ask you this question? Can they like just relax? I'm like,
Yes.
So I'm calling Key. I'm calling everybody saying, call them and
You
ask
ask them
them.
that. See, that's me. And could you tell them to do?
She told
Right.
me
Yeah,
to do that, and I don't come back bringing no news. Cause
yeah.
at
I
the end of
think
the
I
day,
yeah,
you ain't going. Look, I'm gonna call and ask the questions for myself, but
yeah,
I'm not carrying the tail back.
yeah,
Oh, they didn't plan this part. They didn't plan
yeah.
that
I'm
part.
like you though, cousin. I'm like you, cause I need it right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be right.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you gotta
Yeah.
trust the process.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
learning. I'm
So
learning.
yeah.
I'm learning.
So
I'm learning.
I like to do a little bit of both.
Will you marry again?
I would be committed.
We had a debate on this too on an episode because a lot of people now are choosing to, even though they're married, choosing to live separately,
Yes.
right?
I don't think I want to live with nobody, even
See?
if I remarried. I like, and I'm a neat freak, y'all.
See?
I like things where I like them. So I don't think nobody want to live with me. I get on their
I,
nerve.
I felt like it wasn't a problem,
Yeah.
right? And so Kiana and Sean thought differently. They like, no, I need to lay beside you. I need to
Yeah, we
this.
can
I
still
need to
live
that.
beside.
Yeah,
Sometimes in your place, sometimes in mine.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what?
But you 35 though, right? And
But you
have
know what? I was
You
married
married
for.
now?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I was legally separated
Ah,
for 2 years,
okay.
and I'm legally
Divorced.
divorced.
Okay.
And I didn't know that I was still legally married until the ink dry. Until at the divorce hearing, and she was like, "You're still legally married until the ink dry, and you get this paper in the
Yeah,
mail."
yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
I mean, I love love.
Yeah, yeah. I do too.
Yeah, I love love. I don't
I'm
want to live
definitely
separate.
I'm a hopeless romantic. I am.
Yeah, I love love.
Yeah, I'm that one that in the middle of the day you're gonna get a long text about how wonderful you are.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's me. Guess I'm gonna send some flowers just because like I'm that person consistently.
But you still would live
Yeah, I
separate
see
if
what
you-
it's
Oh
up
my
to,
gosh,
cousin.
she was
Hey,
like
listen,
this.
I'm all right with
You
that.
know
Hey,
what?
me and Dylan is my four-legged daughter. Me and Dylan, we good. No, don't come in here telling Dylan what to do. Even Dylan can do whatever Dylan want to do. Don't come in here telling Dylan what to do because she's 57 pounds in this little house and she running all around what she doing.
But
She
do
wanna
you think that would be a problem for you if you decided to?
I don't think I could do it again. I don't think I can
Yeah.
live. I think I would always probably
your own
have my own space.
Yeah.
And I'm all right with that.
Well, we're not gonna
too.
go into detail because
Go ahead.
this show is getting.
Yes.
Because look, we'll let nobody be like, "What you mean you
Yes.
can't live with me?"
That's fine. They know. I'm a big person on even if it don't go nowhere, but where is that? I've enjoyed the time. I told you I started off. Everything is a moment in time,
Absolutely.
and this may be a leaf, right? And as long as we can remain friends, like I don't like. And there's not a person that I've dealt with that literally can't call me today that we're not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm, and that sometimes also creates a little jealousy for people, because again, I'm gonna be me. I don't know how to be
have
nobody
to.
else. They already taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna be me. And people used to accuse me of being very flirtatious, but I'm just very friendly.
But you're
So
a politician, so.
you know,
You gotta-
but there's only two types of people in the world: women and men. I don't know what you mean, But I respect people. And one of the mistakes I did make in my marriage, and again, I've asked for forgiveness and we moved on, but not respecting that, and how that makes you
The other
feel.
yeah.
So I'm very mindful of that today. I'm much more mindful than I've ever been, and I learned that through my marriage. That yeah, it may not matter to you, but it matters to me.
Yeah.
And again, I said earlier, we grew up together. So in growing up, you realize the mistakes you made. What I did at 35, I can't do at 53.
You can't do it at
Yeah,
53.
so I learned a lot, and I respect you know, and I gained a 26, we were together for 26 years.
Wow.
And I
that's a long
gained a family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That ain't gonna let me go, but it was because of that union
Yeah.
Yeah.
that got me there. So even now, like I don't let nobody question that.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's who that is,
Exactly.
and they gonna be good as long as I'm living.
Exactly.
And it ain't no intimacy in terms of that's
Yeah.
there, but it's a friendship.
It's a friendship.
friendship.
You
It
know,
can't
when
be
my
broke.
sister
Exactly.
when I got the call that my sister may not make it, one of the first people at the hospital was Stephanie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't about nothing for me, but that's her family,
Yeah.
you know? So knowing that I have that as a unit, as a village that I can rely on, even if this don't work, you know, not for sex or anything like that,
Right.
but for love and
friendship,
protection
that
and make sure
Yeah,
you
family.
good. Family.
Some
Absolutely.
relationships are priceless.
Yeah,
And that's a priceless
that's one. I
relationship.
gained a family key. You know, Tanetta's one of them. You know, I gained Lonnie. I gained a family that walking inside of a birthday party last night. I ain't seen them in a couple of months, and it was like I never missed a beat because that family. I watched the babies grow up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would never sacrifice that for any relationship.
Wow, yeah.
So,
Today has been a
Yes.
day,
Yeah.
and we ended it well. I
Thank
feel
y'all.
refreshed, rejuvenated,
Hey, we going into this
We going
Women's Month with
into-
power and
with
strength.
power.
Yeah, that's important.
speaking of power, when is the
Oh, Power of Purple Brunch. And this year's slogan is I Choose Me.
All right, I love that.
Yeah.
And
That's what I
it's-
said.
Yeah.
that's
Let me
It's
find
one of-
out.
so
I'm
that's
prophetic.
This year, yeah, that is this year's slogan, Power Purple Brunch, March 29th at Murray Lou's.
I will be there.
Can listen. I don't need you to be there. I need you to be a part of
Whatever
it.
you ask me to do, Keith.
So,
Whatever, I'm honored.
and we'll talk about it. But one thing I can say about today is I felt that I knew you as a person through the relationships and the connections. With Tanetta and Dennis, as I said before, when they put somebody in you, they come already highly stamped, right?
And
So it's like, even if we ain't even had this conversation today, and you pick up the phone and say, Kiana, this Dionne
Yeah.
Reeder, da-da-da,
Yeah.
but because of who they are and the relationship
Thank
and the
you.
connection,
Thank you.
we are already
Thank you.
connected, and I'm there,
Thank you.
right?
Thank
Even
you.
I never even seen your face.
I gotta shout this out. The person that made sure that I had that money for that down payment and told me I spent my money was Dennis.
Wow.
He was that guy, and he's a phenomenal guy. He's a phenomenal guy, and he loves hard.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and he supports business. If you about business, he with it. So I feel you. I think they my godparents too.
Listen, they tell you when you right, and they damn sure
Hey,
tell you when
they
you
good
wrong.
business people.
And they definitely believe in you. They help you, and relationships are important.
they are.
And when people like no new friends, I'm so grateful that
That's
they.
right.
And I say it over and over again, but the impact that they have brought on my life, right, has been nothing
Hey,
but
you-
short of amazing.
You're a 7-figure woman. Yeah, I ain't forgot.
Listen, but they are amazing, and through these amazing people that I was able to meet
Thank
you, and
you.
I'm grateful for.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
coming to the couch.
Thank y'all for
Yes.
having
And
me.
listen,
This has been
I
fun.
think production
We
is
almost
gonna
2
give us-
hours.
And
Yes,
so we not inviting nobody else. Dennis, Dionne, Dirk, Dexter, nobody with the letter D or Donnell gonna be in.
Because we don't know how to end. We don't know how to say within an hour.
Yeah, we don't know how to. But listen, I appreciate it. Shout out to Shut Up Studios,
Yes.
Felicia, that is always allowing us to use the studio. If you need studio space or even want to, create your own set using Beyond the Hustle Showcase, be our guest. You can find Felicia at Shutter Up Studios. And shout out to our amazing production team, Ready, Set, Shoot. My guy, Donnell. Did I say I'm not saying nobody else with the name D? But
Listen.
to conclude and open up Women History Month, listen, we had the most impactful woman. We
Yes.
could not have started
you.
this
Yes.
this month, and money.
How
March
about
Madness.
that? Amen.
Listen,
Amen.
we speaking that, right? It
Amen.
started this way. It
Yes.
started from. We going
Amen.
into March amped up.
Yes.
We allowing people to breathe and live through our stories and
That's
our
all.
journeys. Today was authentic.
Thank you.
I
It was.
can't thank you guys. Look, I
Nah,
said it
thank you
100
for
times,
inviting me.
but I am your host, Kiana Moran, and follow me at Kiana Moran and Beyond the Hustle DMV.
I'm Tanetta Merritt. You can follow me at Miss Tanetta Merritt.
Oh, I'm Dionne Reeder. You can follow me at Dionne for DC and Dionne's Good Food.
Dionne's good
Good
food.
Yeah.
Come
How
and check
can-
me and Key out. We're going to bartend at Dionne.
And we
Yes.
doing cocktails
Yes,
and
y'all get
conversation.
the cocktails conversation in March.
Nice,
Yes.
got
Yep,
it.
we're going to solidify
We
the
gonna bring
date.
some people out.
There you
Give
go.
me a mic too. Now.
Oh, yeah, you get all of that. You get all of
Listen,
that.
I was
We need
at
this
Burger.
whole setup. We
I
got
was
this
at
right.
Burgers
Like-
at last Wednesday, and I said, "Oh, I need to be a host. Add host to my resume. They let me
Yes.
MC a little bit."
You're going to get it.
Listen, but I'm super excited and I'm amped up. So Dionne, how they follow you? What's the hours of Dionne's?
So Dionne's Good Food, definitely with the S, Dionne's Good Food on IG, www.dionnesdc.com is our website. And you can actually come through. Fridays is a wonderful night, all day happy hour.
Nice.
We throw a new special on the menu every Friday. They can follow us there, check us out. All black businesses at Sycamore Oak on IG as well. You get to see all of the black businesses that are showcased and highlighted there. Wonderful opportunity. Support us, support our people, support black businesses. Even if you don't eat Dionne's, it's 4 different restaurants there. Eat from one of us and enjoy your time.
Wow, yes,
It's
yes,
a
yes.
free space for the community. You can bring your kids. It's a family-friendly space, so we do not hesitate to allow the children to be there. And the hours the only day we're closed is Mondays.
Wow.
Starting on March, we're open every Sunday. We close on Sundays during the winter, but now tomorrow on Sunday we'll open up on Sunday. So we're open Tuesday through Sunday.
Wow.
Yes.
We're going to be in there for sure.
For sure.
How could they support Far Southeast? Any events,
Most
nonprofit?
definitely. Thank you for that. We're having a huge fundraiser that I'm going to be leaning on y'all 7-figure women. April the 27th. It's going to be held at the Point Restaurant. Greg
Okay.
Caston, shout out to him. Pro Fish, one of my mentors, strong supporter. We solidified that today.
Nice.
For April 27th, we're solidifying the bands that's going to be there to play. A great opportunity. Our theme is going far with Far Southeast.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
going
like
far
that.
with Far Southeast. Our goal is to raise $1 million. We already about 300 in. We've raised so far, so we're looking that between now and September 30th. So please come out. You have a great time. We have sponsorships. The sponsored level is $50,000, $25,000, $15,000, $10,000, and $5,000. We're asking people to come in and support the great work that we're doing. Try to remind people, what will you be, where would Southeast be without Far Southeast?
Wow. going
29
far.
years at the
far.
organization, and we want to go far with Far Southeast.
Nice.
Go far.
Yep, April
Speaking of bands,
27th.
make sure you get plugged in.
Oh, yeah, we got book 2, so boy, they're going to be one.
Plug in.
Yeah,
plug in, just
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
We had a time today. Real talk
Real stories.
and real hustle.
Yes.
Stepping in here. That's why we got to stop having these 2-hour conversations.